Look up the word crazy in the dictionary and you might just find an asterisk beside the definition that says, listen to the Subiquitous podcast featuring Sue Duffield and you'll find out what crazy means. Sue's travelogue journey of unfiltered stories, impossible miracles, and faith-filled fun will be revisited right here. So buckle up and let's get going with this humorous travelogue of an unfiltered saint, Subiquitous.
It's a joy to have you back, and it's Thanksgiving week, and it might look a little different this year than it is any time in history, I have to say, at least for the history of the Duffields, that's for sure. Although by the time you hear this, we'll be on our way to Pennsylvania to be with our son, and we know about travel bans, we know about masks, we know about all of the things that we're supposed to do. And there's a part of me that, we buy into the system because we have to be obedient. But at the same time, there's a part of me that goes, oh, I'm going anyway, So anyway, I hope your Thanksgiving week will be filled with lots of joy and lots of fun and interaction. And if you even can't be with your family, I hope that you'll take some time to maybe share this podcast with them and say, hey, you got to listen to this one. That's pretty good. And it will be, I promise you. I've got a little message called Don't Mess with the Turkey. This is a sacred thing, man. I'm telling you. We've messed with everything in 2020. We have literally messed with everything. But I'm telling you, gang, don't mess with the turkey. And I'll tell you why. That Thanksgiving tofu turkey episode of Everybody Loves Raymond, oh, you got to check it out if you've never seen it. It's on YouTube. Just put in tofu turkey episode of Everybody Loves Raymond. It's got over millions and millions of hits. And it goes down as one of my favorite TV comedy experiences of all time. And even in syndication, it's both hilarious and uncomfortable to watch again and again. I'll tell you why. It seems that Marie, Doris Roberts, and Frank, Peter Boyle, are trying desperately to be healthy. And their recent medical test proved that some changes in their diet are in order. So Marie scours through the kitchen and throwing out all the unhealthy food and demands that Frank do the holistic regimen with her. This is so weird, but it's true. So Marie then decides that a tofu turkey called a tofurkey will take the place of a traditional Thanksgiving turkey dinner. Now, the visual display of the gelatin-looking jiggly tofu turkey was enough to send any viewer over the edge, me included. Raymond, of course, Ray Romano, decides he can't take this. There is no way, and orders a complete, normal turkey dinner, as he says, with all the fixins from a local restaurant. Oh, there's so many funny and uncanny moments during that episode, and it's extremely eerily similar to what I grew up with and how my married-into family of the Duffields, how they operate. My mother-in-law, June Duffield, Mom, who is in heaven now, was a direct descendant and a picture-perfect depiction of the character of Marie Barone. I'm telling you, it's the truth. At times, I laugh hysterically at all the scary commonalities. And other times, I almost cry at just how real this sitcom is to my life. Truly, we could take the characters and change the names and rename the show. I promise you, Everybody Loves Jeffrey. My mother-in-law would make every Thanksgiving a cornucopia of her whimsical creations, insisting on at least trying one new dish every year. You see, she had such a love for cookbooks, gourmet cooking shows, and unique recipes found in her beloved magazines seemed to always find their way to the sacred holiday table. And most of her creations I could handle. I was the guinea pig. I actually would love when she would do these incredible creations. However, the men in our family weren't too excited about the raisins and the cranberries and the stuffing or dressing, nor the turkey sausage. Yes, a turkey stuffed in a turkey, or whatever else that chewy stuff was in there. I don't quite blame them, truthfully. But Mom had a knack for changing things up, making the traditional male eaters of our clan express their outward discontent. A coconut clove pumpkin pie quiche one year was not a hit, nor was her fat-free coffee brownies made with applesauce. I'll never forget that. And the earth shook the day she decided to change her own famous candy cane cookie recipe. Oh, dear God, don't go there. But I had to laugh out loud the year she tried so hard to make something new and different with mashed potatoes and turnips. Plus a sweet potato something with peppers, apples, garlic, and God knows what else. Once again, that dish got passed around the table like a hot potato going through an Easy Pass express lane. Unreal. The cranberry pepper hash, or whatever she called it, was splendid. I liked it. My mother liked it, but she had to fool around with the ingredients in that one, too. My dad, you see, her son's father-in-law, was always a willing guinea pig as well and would eat almost anything that June Duffield would bring to the table because, you see, his wife didn't cook. So finally, my mom gave in and passed the torch to me, and I inherited the matriarchal privilege of creating the Thanksgiving feast. We decided to go back to what worked for us in the very beginning. Here's what works for the men. Plain mashed potatoes with lots of butter and lots of butter and lots of butter, and sweet potato casserole with just an arsenal of marshmallows. You know, regular creamed corn in a can is fine, stuffing or dressing without all the stuff in it, and of course a turkey, a normal American frozen, thawed in the sink gobbler injected with all the unhealthy butter fakers to make it moist and juicy. All was right with the world, and all are happy again. You see, I miss her, however, and I assume that most of the men around our table now would be willing to try some of her turkey table delectable delights just to have her here with us again. And speaking of everybody loves Jeffrey, he's with me on this broadcast. And am I telling the truth or not?
Oh, there's no doubt. You're quite truthful in your descriptions of my mother.
I can just see your face when she would walk in with platters, and normally we would have Thanksgiving at our house because we had the bigger house. So everybody would congregate around our table, so all the parents would bring food. And inevitably she would bring something that you'd go, "Oh, really?"
She did that more as she got older.
Yeah, it's because she's watching the cooking shows.
I guess.
And she was trying to be creative.
There was no need. No one required creativity.
Well,
there's just some things you don't mess with.
That's why I titled this episode, number 28, "Don't Mess with the Turkey." And
that's a good description.
You know, a year ago, Jeff, if you recall, we went to this lovely place in Gallatin, Tennessee.
No, yes, we did. Was that a year ago? No, that was 2 years ago.
Was it 2 years
ago?
ago?
Not to argue with you.
Oh, you're right. 2 years ago.
Yeah.
We had our Christmas party for our church women's ministry.
And I heard last night the name of the place, and I can't remember.
Oh.
Yeah.
Well, maybe it'll come to you during the broadcast.
Maybe.
But anyway, all I can say is...
Yeah.
Oh.
If my mother had stayed with that recipe that they had for that Thanksgiving dinner, all would have been well with the world.
All was well with the world.
I mean, everyone got along. But here's the thing. Of our family dinners, you're describing my mother coming in with these concoctions.
Right.
What you left out is at some point during the dinner, everybody be sitting there eating. I wouldn't be saying a word, and of course my mother would. What's the word I'm looking for? She would look over my dish
to see if you have her favorite
latest concoction. Knowing
cranberry
full well,
mousse or something she made
knowing
one year.
full well before she even bothered to know that it wouldn't be on there, but she did nonetheless. And then eventually at some moment in the lull of the conversation or what have you, she'd look over at me and say, "Did you try the whatever, Jeffrey?" And it was
with a smirk on her face every time. Every time.
And I'd look at her and go, "No." Well, why not? How do you know if you don't like it?
Well, see, here's the thing. I don't understand you as the favored son. I don't understand why you wouldn't at least give your mother a shot at trying some of her new concoctions. This would be very honorable. And the Bible says to honor your parents. And it would have been very honorable to honor your parents instead of just your own preference of taste buds.
That's purely a subjective opinion about what is honoring. Here's the reason.
Okay.
And see, once again, we go back to the old fable that life did not begin for Jeffrey until 12 years of age when he met Susan
believe
Beatty.
that. I really, the further we go on with this podcast, the more I believe this.
And
I do.
With no evidence to back it up. You mentioned referencing, or you reference honoring my mother. This is the mother who, at a very early age, attempted to get me to ingest tapioca pudding.
Oh, that's lovely. Oh, every child in the world loves tapioca pudding.
Do they really? Coconut.
Well, I had to learn how to like that.
Orange juice with massive amounts of pulp.
Yeah, that's a yeah. I'm in agreement with you on that one. Yeah.
And this is the mother that got me to to try to ingest these things. And various stages of gagging and other activities as a result of
your texture disease.
Whatever.
I think you do. I think we've talked about this. I really do believe you have a texture disease.
Still here.
Yeah.
Yeah. And these are the things that she tried on me. This is the same mother in my high school years would make a soft-boiled egg in the morning for me for breakfast.
Said that already.
Well, you got to keep referencing it because it proves a point. And
with your apricot juice.
With apricot juice.
Yeah, that was lovely.
But
still, it's
now years later,
yes.
This is a cause and effect. This is Pavlov's dog.
Okay.
Pavlov, I can't talk today. You go down the road so many times and you get burnt, so to speak, that when, you just don't take your mother's word for something, that it's going to be tasteful and good and so forth and all the rest of it.
But it's all the rage. It's all the rage on the cooking shows.
And how long have you known me to know that I don't necessarily follow the latest rage?
I know. You march to your own
of
beat.
anything.
Problem. I know it.
I investigate for myself before I decide to be a rager.
So then let's say this then. What was your point then? Your point is...
Well, you're just referencing how, my poor persecuted mother would bring in these great concoctions off of some cable TV channel.
She's so proud of them. And she knew at least two people, or maybe 2.5, would still...
And she should have been satisfied
love what she wrote.
With that level of success between you and your mother and father, who were...
Our kids didn't like it.
Duh. And of course, my father didn't like it.
Nor your brother would try it.
He would eat some things because he had to spend a lot more time with my mother than the rest of us did.
That's true.
So he would have heard about it. So he quickly figured out it was just best to eat some of it and get it over with.
Right.
Yeah. So that was a part that you're not mentioning about Marie Duffield, if you will, and her
Marie Barone
annual concoctions. But she didn't start that till later on.
Right.
She years later or years ago, when we were all much younger, she manufactured your standard.
Well, I just think and I know this. You want to try. You seriously.
No, you don't.
If you want, yes, you do.
No, you don't.
If you're
on Thanksgiving Day, you want mashed potatoes. You want turkey with stuffing in the bird, I might add.
Yeah, well, they say it's not healthy to do that.
I know what they say. And once again, I'm here. And a vegetable, the preferences would be corn or lima beans. Sometimes peas.
See, that's a northern thing I'm hearing.
Well, whatever. That's where I'm from. What can I, it's just the person I am.
Right.
With dinner rolls and, I don't know, whatever else.
You wouldn't even eat a sweet potato casserole, and that is a standard.
Well,
that's a standard. You can't have Thanksgiving without sweet potatoes.
I've had many of them.
Yeah, but
I've had many Thanksgivings.
But you're talking about concoctions. That's a normal dish. That's not a concoction.
I was talking about the standard, traditional, acceptable fare for the dinner plate.
Jeff
mashed
Duffield's
potatoes.
dinner plate.
Hello.
I know. Blands are us. Bland is us.
I'm
whatever it is.
easy. I'm easy to please. And there's years when you would coexist and exceed to my wishes.
Yeah.
You noticed I was a happy camper.
Well, and that's
I'd
what happened
smile.
in Gallatin 2 years ago when we did this lovely party for
Well,
them.
it must not have been just
The
me then.
food was just, I mean, I remember.
It was almost like I created the menu.
You did. And I knew as I was spooning it onto my plate and I started tasting this and I thought, we all were suddenly, it was like 1972 in Bridgeton, New Jersey, sitting around your mother's table. I will give you that.
Yes.
I will give you that.
And
it was
so-
just amazing.
Yeah. So and how big of a smile did I have on my face?
We didn't want to leave. In fact,
No.
we asked for, could we have a take home bag?
Exactly. We want to take it out.
Could we have that? Oh man! But on the Crane side of my family, which the very opinionated side of my family,
I
I'm
never
sure,
met those.
I remember going to the Riverview with my great aunt Ruth, and you putting mashed potatoes on your plate.
Of course I did.
And they didn't have any gravy on them.
That's right.
And you got to understand something. That's almost against the law.
Oh, I met your father. I've watched him on many a Thanksgiving.
So what is it? What is
he's
it?
not here.
What is it?
I didn't put gravy on my mash, and I'm still here.
What did
He
Aunt Ruth say
he's
to you?
not.
I forget
So-
what she said. She said,
Well, she was sitting right next to me at the table when we finally got back from it was a buffet.
It was lovely,
and
too.
It was also
that was very South Jersey.
Yeah, very good.
Homegrown succotash.
I don't know that it's real South Jersey because we just talked about Tennessee having the same
Well, that's true.
menu. And anyway,
There's many similarities. I know
it sounded like a prototypical Crane comment.
I know.
Yeah, but she
I
just
lived
looked,
with it. I understand.
and she looked at my plate with sans the gravy on my potatoes and said,
and it was lovely, by the way.
"Don't you have any gravy on your mashed potatoes?"
That's how she sounded, too. You
Yeah.
did really good with that.
I probably am. I just can't. I've just never seen anybody eat mashed potatoes without gravy.
You just don't do that. That's
To which I calmly turned to her and said, "Well, then keep your eyes open and watch because you're about to see it." And I proceeded to consume the mashed potatoes.
You
quite
did, without
and
gravy.
I've been known to put gravy on my mashed potatoes occasionally. It's just not something I do. I don't know why.
You know
It
what,
just-
though? We had just a few weeks ago, you had a hot turkey sandwich and I had a hot roast beef sandwich.
Yep.
And you had gravy on your potatoes.
Was it on there or did we put it on there?
No. What do you mean, did we put it
mashed
on there?
potato. Well, we had gravy on the sandwich.
Yeah, but
and we put it on the mashed potatoes in that restaurant were not.
no, it wasn't one of my favorites.
That wasn't
I know.
the greatest part of that lunch.
but you did have gravy on your potatoes,
Well,
and I think the
as
reason
I
you
said,
did is because
because
the
I-
potatoes
I
weren't that good.
They were okay. They were just a little dry.
Gravy covers a multitude of sins.
In those instances.
It really does.
But when mashed potatoes are made correctly,
Oh, the real deal. Yes.
as they
I
were by
agree.
my mother, when my
I
mother was
know.
not in a concocting mode, when she made, and others, when they were, the creamy kind of mashed potato, if you were,
Yes.
if you would, yeah,
I know.
don't need gravy. They're
I know.
just a little butter, and go to it.
Yeah. So all was right with the world. And then one year, I'm in Malaysia coming home Thanksgiving Day or the day after that.
I didn't want you to be going over that Thanksgiving.
No, and
but
I think you and
nonetheless.
Annie went out to Cracker Barrel one year when I was away, if I recall.
it all
Or did
kind
you
of-
get
it runs-
takeout or something? What was it?
we did. I assume it was for Thanksgiving. I did
Yeah.
get a takeout at Cracker Barrel.
There, and that was good. I mean, we've done that a couple of times, though, haven't we?
No.
Still wasn't good?
Wasn't one of their better efforts. No. It's much better to go in. Take it from me. If you're going to eat at Cracker Barrel, some folks love Cracker Barrel, and we
do too.
Some folks don't. But if you love it, go inside. It's worth the effort. The
food's better inside than takeout?
Well,
How can that happen?
I'm guessing it was just the demand. They were,
might have been.
they were
Maybe
kind
you
of
just had a
rushing
bad
through it a
cook
little
that
bit.
day.
Yeah, it wasn't that great. And I'm trying to recall if it was the same year we did that. I don't think it was.
No, it's 2 different years. And then the following year, I was away, coming home from New Jersey.
Something like that.
On Thanksgiving morning.
And our dear Annie.
Yeah, bless her heart. She was trying really hard.
Well, that happens to everybody.
But she went to put what in the stuffing?
She's an excellent cook.
She really is. She's better than I am on something.
She's an excellent. She has the spirit of both of her grandmothers.
Yeah, she sure does.
Leans to one side with the concoction stuff occasionally, but she is really an excellent cook. But this was early on in her cooking experience. You know the details more than I do.
Well, she ended up, instead of putting in the Trader Joe's cornbread stuffing, which is really, really good.
It is really, that's a really good.
I don't have any sponsorship for anything I'm talking about today.
No, we probably
should. I'm telling you, it is lovely. It's lovely. And it's just, if you cook it right, or I should say prepare it right.
Yeah, well, yeah.
And instead of doing 4 tablespoons of
water.
No, I think it was...
Yeah.
I think, well, I'll take that back. She doubled the cups of water is what ended up happening.
It was pretty watery.
And it was more like
whatever it was.
Stuffing soup.
Yeah, the stuffing was floating around.
She felt so bad. And I remember she took a picture of it and sent it to me on my phone saying, I don't think this is right.
No, I could have told her. She didn't have to do that. I could have told her it wasn't right.
I don't think it's right.
We tried to bake it, and we just couldn't bake the water out of it.
Yeah.
That wasn't a good day for that.
Well, I have this theory, and my mother and I had this theory, that we would not try to create or do something unique on Thanksgiving. Because we knew the men we were married to, and we knew the men in our family weren't interested in all the fanciness.
No, just eat, be done with it. Go sit down and watch a football game or take a nap.
If we were going to try out something new, okay, we would do it another time and then say, well, what do you think? And if everybody was like, oh, that's lovely. Yes, let's incorporate that for Thanksgiving dinner. But boy, have we changed now. Yeah, I mean, it doesn't even look this year like.
No, for a variety
here's the truth.
Of reasons.
I mean, I'm not opposed to it at all. But our in-laws, which I say our in-laws, which is our son's in-laws, are kind of doing Thanksgiving this year, and I think it's going to be wonderful. They're actually getting a honey-baked turkey from Honey Baked Ham. I thought, well, there you go. So we'll see. Don't get a little more excited than what you sound like right now.
Give me
You're
a
like
minute.
Speechless.
Give me a minute. I'll work up to it.
Well, there's a couple of other days. We are going to celebrate.
So we have
Thanksgiving on Wednesday.
So we have redos if we don't get it right.
Well, I did tell my son because he's just like you.
No, wait, yeah, just
let me say yes.
No.
What are you going to say? Be nice now.
No, I'm going to be very nice. But your son, has already given the message to you to get up here so that you can. In other words,
I know. Well,
many words, straighten things out.
Well, no, we're not going to say that because
I'm not saying it, but he said it.
Cheryl is a lovely cook, but I just think we're
that.
just going to have the turkey from outside instead of baking it ourselves. Okay, well,
and that's fine,
and we'll find out. We'll find out if we like it.
Well, and
now we buy the honey baked ham for New Year's Eve.
There's been right, and nothing against the Honey Baked Ham Corporation. They make fine products.
They really do.
And it's not to say that I've never had non-home baked turkey or whatever for Thanksgiving. Because several years we went to the Riverview Inn in New Jersey, and of course, since we've been down here, not all has been quote unquote normal.
No.
So, because, all of us used to live, our family as it were in those days, within 20 miles of each other. That obviously is a lot different.
So to spice this podcast up, because it really seems boring to me right about now. So
that's your department. You're the concoctor, remember?
Well, I want to say don't mess with the turkey.
That's it.
I really do. I want to say that.
That's it.
That you'll find in every magazine, every specialty,
It's
recipe
not hard.
books. It's not hard. It's really not hard.
Just keep things simple.
Don't mess with the turkey.
That's
this would
right.
not be the year, I would think.
No, we've had enough things
We've had
messed
enough
with.
things messed with.
Yeah.
And I think for some degree along the way, normalcy is something that we should maybe look for on Thanksgiving Day.
I'm all in favor.
I mean, there's some states that are saying no more than 8 people per family.
But we're good there.
We're all right. We just made it. We're under it. Well, no, we're right at 8.
I haven't counted.
We're right at 8
Well, the
if
two of us,
Matt brings
John
his
and-
girlfriend.
Oh, okay.
And that's
I was
David's
gonna say-
brother-in-law.
We're going to say John and Cheryl, you and I is
Right.
4. David
4.
and Lauren are
Yeah.
6. And the baby is 7.
7, and then Matt and Christine.
And we don't know that.
We don't know
For
that.
publications purposes and the internet, we don't know that.
don't know.
As far as we know, we're under the cover
Yeah,
there.
but see again, it just
I know.
we've got to really center in on some of the things that we just got to stay away from political conversation.
And
first
we
of all,
are.
and we do,
And we
do,
are.
and we really need to center in on what we can be thankful for this week. I think. Don't you
Yes.
think?
Yeah. Oh, very
It's
much
almost
so.
like a gratitude of laffitude, if there is such a thing. I don't know. I kind of just made
Well,
that up.
I'm very thankful this year that we are here.
Yeah.
And we're several days away from Thanksgiving, and just that, what I said, we're here.
We're here.
I
I know.
mean-
That's a simplistic blessing thought. It is,
When you
it's true.
consider,
I know.
when you consider all that's going on and taking place nationally, internationally, our situation personally, our family situation, we're all here.
Right.
So there's a win right there.
And the win is, again,
Even if there's gravy on the mashed
even if there's
potatoes.
gravy on the mashed potatoes. And even if you don't like the fancy concoctions,
We'll see. I'll get
cranberry
back
mousse, that cranberry mousse one year was fabulous. I'm telling you,
and-
it was right up there. And I was so sad that you didn't try your mother's cranberry mousse.
to you. For those in the audience who are wondering and are thinking to themselves right now, how does he know he doesn't like cranberries? Because he never tried them. Wrong.
No, well, and
I
then
tried cranberries many years ago.
they
and
are
just
a
didn't.
very, very South Jersey popular fruit that is
I'm
grown right there in Vineland, of all
Sure
places.
they
And
are, but it just never registered. The accusation is hurled at me many times. How do you know? Because you didn't try it. That one I did. And I tried coconut. And I tried tapioca pudding.
I know.
And also tried coffee. And I didn't care for
But
coffee.
another
That
standard,
scares a
standard
lot
at the
of people.
Thanksgiving table that you wouldn't come anywhere near is pumpkin pie.
Nope.
See what I deal with? Do you see, ladies and gentlemen?
excuse me.
How hard this is for
Excuse
me every year.
Excuse me. Just for 1 minute. We will have been married 46 years, December 21st.
And I've been happily married 25 out of those 46 years.
Well, that's
I
your,
know, it's an old
that's
joke.
your
It's
fault.
an old joke. It's an old one.
That's your fault because your happiness
All right, we're running
depends
out
on
of time, so
you.
get to it fast.
Oh yeah, now we're running out of time. No, gotta go.
right.
Thanks.
Pass it on.
That's
It
good. Sorry
only takes
we couldn't
us
stay
far.
longer.
I know.
In those 46 years, please tell me,
Yeah.
give me documentation of how many years I have forbidden you, prevented you, blocked the way for you to have a pumpkin pie.
I know. You never stop me, but it would be fun
Hello?
that if you would
Why?
share it with me.
Why?
Let us break pumpkin pie together
No, the
on
one
our
that-
knees.
the one that's-
I mean,
the-
I don't have that experience of sharing it with you.
The one that shares things with you, with that that type of thing, would be your son.
I know.
And the year that you went out to Costco
Oh,
and bought a rather large pumpkin pie for the family dinner the next day or the day after.
that's right.
And we had to go out somewhere.
We
It was
went
a
to
night-
sing somewhere at a Christmas party. And
before
when we came
Thanksgiving?
back, it was the night before. And when we
Okay.
came back,
He had helped himself.
he had helped himself to the pumpkin. And if you ever seen those Costco pumpkin pies, they are huge.
And we walked in and there was one
No,
basic
well, there's like
slice
maybe
left.
2/3 of it
Oh,
was
I know,
gone.
no, yeah, 2/3
And-
was gone. Yeah, and he did write a note.
He did write a note and he said, "Mom, I'm sorry, I accidentally ate the whole thing." And I had to laugh. I think I still have in my little treasure box that little Post-it note. Because first of all, he spelled accidentally wrong.
There's a shock.
Well, anyway, at the close of this incredible Don't Mess with the Turkey podcast.
Hopefully you listen to this before you eat turkey dinner, because the tryptophan is liable to
Well,
put you
I do
to
have a
sleep.
couple of table tips for a great Thanksgiving.
I can hardly wait.
Yeah. Number one, never try a new dish for a holiday unless you've tested and tried it prior. That was a theory that your mother had, but she didn't always abide by it.
No, she
Number
didn't.
two, trying some new recipe isn't a bad thing necessarily, but remember, you may get some flack and opposition if you do, especially the men around the table. And number three, the fresher the ingredients, the better for just about any kind of meal, especially Thanksgiving dinner.
And number 4,
Invite a new friend.
No. Don't add too much water to the stuffing.
Oh, don't
mix.
add too much. That's right. Now, we can't really probably do this as much as we'd like to, but if you're if your state doesn't have mandates that you can't have so many people, but I always say, a new friend or a family to your table just to change things up a bit.
Yeah, not this year.
No, making new tradition is very new healing. Although there's another podcast with that one where we used to grow up in our family and we would say, who's that guy at the end of the table? We didn't even know who it was. Anyway, number 5, holidays can be stressful, especially if your loved ones no longer grace your table. However, be thankful, share the stories, the fun, the hilarity, and the joy of the days when their presence filled the room. And so, ironically, at the end of that Everybody Loves Raymond turkey episode, Marie is caught eating and picking at Ray's restaurant turkey in the kitchen. Do you remember that?
Well, did you mention the fact that Ray, accidentally on purpose, had ordered a turkey dinner delivered?
Oh, that's what I said in the beginning of the podcast when you weren't listening.
No, I was doing other things. I was in deep preparation to make this podcast the success that it is.
And you were praying for me, and I appreciate that.
I wasn't doing that, but I was anything.
And as much as we try so hard to do something new and experience a change in our ways, sometimes we just have to go back to what works, and that's what happened. Ray has this delivered, and everybody's in upheaval. And then later in the broadcast of that show,
Marie's out in the kitchen.
She's out there doing just exactly
snacking.
what your mother would have been doing, taste testing along the way
of the delivered, prepared, brought in meal.
So
and then they all sat down and finished up with the traditional, the way God designed it to be.
So here's my thing: even though we stray at times, God never pushes us away. When you think about it. That's my Thanksgiving message.
That's true.
And so what are you waiting for? Return to your God. Commit yourself in love, in justice, and wait for your God. And don't give up on him ever. And that's from Hosea 12:6 in the Message. Thanks for tuning in to this week's episode number 28, Don't Mess with the Turkey. I guarantee you'll have a lot of good friends if you just keep to some great traditions. Get on SueDuffield.com. We welcome you. We want you to join us. Subscribe to the Subiquitous Podcast. There's also a way that you can comment right on SueDuffield.com if you have any questions or comments about any podcast episode. We'd love to hear from you. And we have been so blessed and enriched in our lives by your generosity during this time. Thank you again for giving. Thank you for buying and purchasing books and CDs on our online store at SueDuffield.com. We just thank you so much. Have a great, great Thanksgiving week. And in spite of 2020 messing with everything, oh, honey, don't mess with the turkey. We'll see you next week.